It is always a pleasure to be joined by Beneil Dariush, who takes on Charles Oliveira in the co-main event of UFC 289, June 10th in Vancouver, Canada. Beneil, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
I'm doing good, thank you. What are your thoughts on fighting in Canada? I know this fight got rebooked and moved a little bit, but what are your thoughts on fighting in Canada?
Never fought in Canada before, so I'm looking forward to that. But I also like the fact that it's West Coast. It's only a 2 hour, 2.5 hour flight, so there's a lot of pluses. I can't complain. Same time zone as well.
Oh, awesome, sweet. And I know prior to this fight, I mean, because obviously it fell apart. You guys were supposed to fight at UFC 288, and you started to kind of question his motivation. And you were saying before that you weren't sure he was going to make it to the fight. How about right now? What's your feeling going into this fight? We're about a week away. How do you feel right now about Charles making it to the fight?
Oh man, I haven't even thought about it, but I'm assuming he's gonna make it. I think he was. He wasn't he didn't start his camp when he should have, and then he tried to catch up and probably overtrain, and that's how he got injured. So I think we'll be okay, is what I think. But who knows?
And when you mentioned that part about questioning his motivations, obviously he's coming off of the title loss to Islam Makhachev. Are you seeing a change in his attitude? I don't know if it's videos you've seen or interviews. He generally does them in Portuguese, but do you feel a change in his attitude? Because obviously he was on this crazy championship run prior to the Islam loss.
Um, I don't really watch too many of his interviews or interviews in general, especially since it's in Portuguese, so it's a little bit difficult. I just think comfort is an enemy for athletes like us, and I think he's gotten really comfortable. He's gotten obviously he's a wealthy guy now, and he's living good. So I think those are things that could cause you some problems, cause you to have. To lack desire, basically, and I think that's something that could take place in his life.
And it's been frustrating road, obviously, for you because you're on an 8 fight winning streak. I remember speaking to you in Abu Dhabi prior to the Mateus Gamrot fight, and you said, I'm not going to beg for a title fight. Do you almost feel like this mentality has helped you find success just because you're not obsessing over the title shot and thinking more about, like, I just want to fight?
I think in terms of competition, for sure. I think keeping it simple. Don't like. I don't get upset about stuff like, oh, they don't want to give me a title shot. Oh, okay, they don't want to give me a title shot. They're gonna give me a Gamrot, or they're gonna give me Charles Oliveira. Oh, great! I signed up to fight the best guys in the world anyway, so it's not like it doesn't bother me at all. It's actually the opposite. So once you get your mind in the right place, it's hard for people to get under your skin or attack you. And once they can't do that, bro, it is smooth sailing all the way to the fight.
And you've looked spectacular. I mean, your last fight against Gamrot, probably one of your best performances of your career. We've seen kind of in this winning streak a bit of a wild Beneil that's given us fight of the night's performance of the night. And then we've seen your wins over Ferguson and Gamrot. That Gamrot fight was amazing as well, but a more kind of composed, tactical Beneil Dariush. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 34 now, so I think that has a little bit to do with it. And also, my coaches, they've been kind of hard on me lately, especially about being so wild, because they're like, you're showing such a small percentage of your actual skills. You could, you could show a lot more if you were a little bit more patient, if you're a little bit more methodical, and not just looking to go into a fight. And they understand it's a long camp. And so when I get those 15 minutes of freedom, I kind of go nuts sometimes. And they're like, listen, just sit back and just a little bit of control, and then you'll see. You'll still have that freedom, but it'll just look better. And so far they've been right.
And Charles, during his winning streak, seemed to lure people into these wild fights, and they were game, and he would get dropped, and it would just be a chaotic 5 to 10 minutes, however long it lasted in his fights with Chandler and Poirier and Gaethje. So you almost look at it as in it's a bit of a dangerous game to play with a guy like Charles Oliveira. You've thrived in chaos before, but you almost look at it like it's a dangerous game to play to get into those firefights with him.
So game plan wise is to be perfect in this fight, right? To not do that, to be 15 minutes of staying consistent, staying on the game plan and just being focused, and keeping a steady pace, somewhat like the Gamrot fight. But at the same time, I watch his fights, I study tape, and then I see the wild exchanges, and you know the blood starts pumping, and I hope I can be consistent with what I say, and I stick with the game plan. But yeah, I wouldn't doubt, sometimes I kind of lose it. I wouldn't doubt it if in the fight I kind of lost it a little bit, and I chased the dog fight, and I chased that part because that's my favorite. That's what I actually enjoy doing the most is getting into those dog fights. It's controlling myself is the hard part.
And we've seen Chandler engaged in the ground, to be fair, with Oliveira, but it seems like Gaethje and Poirier seem to, like, after they drop him, to be a little bit tentative. Islam, because it's his forte, he went after him. You're obviously a very good grappler, so when you envision those moments, whether you drop him or it's a scramble, obviously his jiu-jitsu is very good, but you have no problem kind of falling to the ground, right?
Yeah, I actually get more pumped up about the grappling. So I'm not gonna lie, to get into some of the scrambles with him, and to be able to just kind of go nuts on the ground. That is just as exciting as the stand up is. So an opportunity, to have this fight on the ground. I'm actually really looking forward to that because you see him submit so many people, and you wonder how good his jiu-jitsu is. But then at the same time, you also see him lose when he shouldn't lose in the grappling. So yeah, I'm looking really forward to getting my hands on him and getting a feel for his grappling.
Were you surprised with his performance against Islam Makhachev? When you think about it on paper, it's what Islam does. So technically, in a way, no. But at the same time, because he was on such a tear and a lot of people believed that he would be Islam's toughest test at that point, were you surprised with the way the fight played out?
You know the results of the fight didn't like surprise me a lot, or how the fight went. The one thing that was really surprising was the distance management. Charles, I really thought would do a better job with the management of distance, but he didn't. He was so focused on being the guy who pressures and goes forward. He left a lot of openings, and even in the takedowns, he was so focused on getting the takedown that he got reversed. He got taken down, or he almost tripped one time, and then the second time he got taken down, and in the second round he did a better job, but then he got caught in the second round. And distance management is so key when it comes to fighting guys like Makhachev and Charles as well. So I was I was just that was the part that surprised me so much. He just didn't seem to care about the distance.
And is it hard to kind of ignore that fight? Because a lot of people talk about, when they talk about your fight with him, they're like, all right, the fight with Islam is a bit of a blueprint for Beneil. Is it hard to like focus on that version of Charles and ignore that tear he was on before? Or what kind of Charles are you expecting?
So I watch tape, and I watch all of it, right, as much as I can, and and see where he thrives and when is he his best. So it just seems to me I have to be ready for both versions because you even for example, for the Michael Chandler fight, you see him go from not comfortable to comfortable, and then again not comfortable, and then back to being comfortable. So you have to be ready for both guys, and I don't mean like be ready for both guys as in I'm gonna finish this guy when he mentally breaks, and or be ready for the guy that's gonna attack all the time, and I'm just gonna be defensively ready. I mean, be ready to uh flip the mindset. So, okay, I'm on the attack right now. Okay, it just flipped. This guy is backing into his aggressive mode. Be ready for that. So that I think will be really important to be able to go from that the mindset of attack defense, and know with everything there's a purpose. I think that'll be the key. Really, is knowing when he flips.
And I believe you had told the Schmo in an interview that you almost had insurance that if somehow he didn't make it to the fight, like no replacements, no rebookings, title fight is yours. Is that accurate? Have you had recent conversations with the UFC?
I haven't had anything recent, but that's when we had the meeting to rebook the fight because I really did want to fight May 6th. And I tried to make a fight happen that day, but they said no. But yes, they basically said if this fight falls out again, I would get the title shot.
It appears that Islam wants to fight in Abu Dhabi. So is that a decent enough turnaround for you if you can come out relatively unscathed to fight October in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping to fight in March, and only March because I had a tear in my MCL. I didn't really realize it, but I just want to go into my camp without any damages. February would have been fine too. Like I could have pushed it and done February. It wouldn't have really been an issue. But you know, the turnaround is not a big deal. I like fighting. I like being consistent. I know people probably are like, this guy's capping right now because I haven't fought that much, but it's not always in my hands. Sometimes I'm injured, and then other times it's there's no one to fight. There's no opponent, and so because there's no opponent, I have to wait. And being ranked is as glamorous as it is not. It's not fun because you don't get to fight as much as you like.
Yeah, and Islam appears to be excited at the prospect of fighting you. Obviously, fresh blood, but at the same time, he knows a lot of people are saying with your well-rounded skills that you could be a serious threat to him. Have you noticed that he seems to? I don't know if rooting for you is the right way to put it. But obviously, he just fought Charles. But have you noticed that from Islam that he seems excited at the challenge of fighting you?
Yeah, people will send me short clips of him saying like he thinks I'm gonna win the fight and things like that. It's great. It's building the fight right now, right? So Lord willing, I beat Charles and we make the move back to Abu Dhabi and we have that fight in Abu Dhabi. I think it'll work out great if I could make the turnaround. No injuries or nothing like that.
Yeah, and there are two other pivotal lightweight fights. I know you'll probably lose your mind if title implications are even put on those fights, but we've got Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, the rematch, BMF title they put on that. What are your thoughts on that matchup? Who do you think takes it, and what do you think of the BMF title in general being back?
Okay, so I think I love the fight. I think it's an amazing fight. I think it does have title implications. I just think they would be behind me. I don't think they're going to be
Yeah.
able to step in front of me, right? Um, I'm I'm leaning towards Justin, and I know he lost the last one, but I feel he's more motivated, and I could be biased. I've trained with him. He's a friend of mine, and I think he's a great guy. So I'm could be a little bit biased, so I'm leaning towards him. And as far as the BMF belt, it's cool. Like I don't really have too many thoughts on it. I know whoever has it. I saw something with Justin Gagey saying, you get more money if you have it. So it's just it's another perk. So it's a belt. Some people like it, some people don't. But I was never really that interested in belts, anyways. I just like beating up people, and I want to beat up the best people. So yeah, I could, it's not a negative or a positive for me, but I like the fact that it brings in more eyes.
UFC Gold is on your mind, but you're a BMF too. I think you qualify as a BMF. Beneil, would you be open to fighting for a BMF title one day?
I don't know about BMF because yeah, no, I don't know about BMF. I don't think I have the character for it. I'm not quite there with the character, but if let's say if a great fighter is holding that belt, then you bet your butt I'll fight him.
All right, maybe too nice for the BMF moniker, but the fighting style maybe not so nice. So you
Yeah,
fit that.
if fighting was all that mattered in terms of the belt, I think I would definitely get I would get the shot. Just about I'd be ranked among everybody else, But I don't have the character, and I recognize it.
That's okay. You're in the NMF category with Stephen Thompson and then the likes of
There you go.
McGregor.
That's a good one.
Well, the other lightweight fight being Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor. A, do you believe the fight's gonna happen? Because it seems like a lot of lightweights or just fighters in general believe that it may not even happen. And B, if it does, what do you think of the matchup?
So if he does go into the testing pool, which I'm hearing he is, and that's now. So the fight would take place probably 6 to 7 months from now. So it could be this year, it could be next year. And if the fight does take place, Michael Chandler has the tools to win the fight. And he's been more active, which is great for him. I just don't know if he's going to use the tools. If he comes out and he tries to fight the way he fights all the last three fights, I think he'll lose. Because I think if he tries to go wild, I think Conor has the ability to take people out like that. But if he fights smart, he uses the wrestling, he uses the takedown. I think he could have a great fight with Conor, and I think he can definitely win the fight. I am leaning towards Conor right now, just because I do think he's got slick striking and his counters are very good. Uh, and then in terms of title implications, obviously it's Conor. He's always in the mix. So I think if Conor wins, he will. He'll be in the mix for a title shot. He might even jump the BMF guys. But if Chandler wins, I don't think that he's gonna get a title shot off of that. I just don't think he's got the resume right now.
And this fight is probably going to take place at 170. It seems like that's what they've been talking about. But what do you think of McGregor's re-addition to? I don't even know if it's a re-addition to lightweight because, like I said, is probably going to be at 170. But I do think when he thinks title, he's talking about lightweight. So, what are your thoughts in general of the re-addition of Conor?
He looks huge. Is like that's the first thing that comes to my mind. I'm like, man, this guy looks ridiculously big, and so I wonder how he's going to get back down to 55, but I'm sure he has great dietitianist and team that's going to help him with all that. As far as him re-entering the lightweight division, so I understand it's great. It's great for our division because we get more eyes on us. What I don't like is how slow things start to move. Because everybody wants to fight him, and everybody was willing to sit out and wait for him. And if he does win, and let's say he wants to fight for the title, they'll wait. They'll push things back and make things take forever. So I see the benefits of Conor coming back, but the negatives I think for me personally outweighs it because it just slows things down and it just yeah you get such a logjam.
Yeah, I get it. Are you going to watch Tough? It premieres tomorrow.
Uh, what time is it at normally?
I think like 10 p.m. Eastern or something like that. So that would be in California, like 7 Pacific.
Yeah, no, that's time to spend with my kid. Well, training obviously because I gotta train late now. These last couple of weeks,
Yeah.
I have to train a little bit later just to get used to training fighting late. And then I got my kids, man. I gotta make sure I spend time with them before I get to do anything for myself. I have to make sure I've done all the I've checked out everything. I've done little check marks for all the things I need to do, which includes reading to them, spending time with them, playing games, and walking the dog. There's a bunch. There's a whole checklist that I got to go through, and if I have to do all that, I don't think I'm gonna have enough time.
Maybe the rerun. When do you get to Canada?
I plan on going a week before. I was gonna go 2 weeks before for Jersey, but since it's the same time zone, the flight is so short. It's not a long flight and I have everything at home and the convenience of my city, my house, and everything's good here. It just I don't see the need to go too early, so I'll go a week out and then just kind of chill. I'll finish all my sparring this week that I need to do, and then spend the week there just sharpening what I have.
One more before we wrap up, and I appreciate your time. How do you envision getting your hand raised against Charles?
Like I said earlier, the focus of this fight is to be perfect. That's the game plan, to not make stupid errors and not try to fight his fight. But personally, the way I see it is domination. I plan on dominating this fight. I want to remind people because I even think my last fight was kind of close. I'll be honest with you. After after the fight was over, I thought it was going to be a 29-28. And I know some judges gave it to me 30-27, but I was not super stoked on the fight. I felt there was a lot of positions that didn't go quite the way I wanted. The fact that he even took me down was kind of annoying. I had worked so hard, and so same thing with Charles. The fight will be an absolute domination is what it's going to be. I will do what I plan to do, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. That's what I hope for.
All right. I thought you looked great against camera, but I understand you're going to be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get you. Well, Beneil, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure talking to you, and safe travels to Canada, and best of luck on June 10th.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.